Greetings, 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 everyone, and welcome to another episode of Create Yourself Imagery, Intimacy, Innovation, a place where people from all walks of life and various backgrounds come to share their transformative personal and professional stories of restoration, confidence, clarity, and empowerment. They're here to share their helpful tools, resources, and affirming guidance. I'm Joyce Kiles, your global speaker, author, trainer, and coach. And if you're ready to transition, transform, and thrive, this is indeed the podcast for you. So, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. If it is your 100th time joining us, welcome. You already know that I get excited about my guests. This week is no exception. Have not known this young lady long, but when I tell you a true powerhouse, oh my goodness, you all are in for a treat. And one of the things that I love most about having the opportunity to just get to know her even briefly is that we share so much in common. And so I'm excited about today's podcast because I am looking forward to learning like everyone else each and every week. But this one hits a little bit different for me this week, just because after again just reading even down to the smallest details of things in our journeys, they mirror each other a lot. And so I'm excited that she is joining us today, and I'm going to give her the opportunity to fully share with you about who she is. And you know, you can see her bio underneath our caption. So you've gotten all of her contact information in the bio, but I just want to lift up that she is an international motivational speaker, best-selling author. She's a licensed psychotherapist, and she has been on some major platforms to share her message and all that she does. So, without further ado, let me present to some and introduce to others none other than our very special guest today, Malaysia Harrell. Welcome to the show.
So much, Joyce. I am so honored to be here today. I want to thank you for hosting me and allowing me on your platform.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It is a joy. And so, I just want to jump right in. I always like to ask my guests to share in their own way, because again, we have the bio listed, but I always like for individuals to share in their own way a bit about who they are, how they started in this journey, and how long they have been doing it. So the floor is now yours to share.
Yes, thank you. I, like many people, am a survivor, someone who grew up with a lot of challenges, who allowed that to become the way that I experience life as far as, wanting to be overly successful as far as what society deems as successful because I dealt with so much trauma as a child and, went throughout life very successful. And it wasn't until, 2020 occurred where I had a near-death experience, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, that really allowed me the opportunity to reevaluate who I was as a person, what my purpose is, and allowed me to transform into doing what I do now, all those things that you mentioned. And so, I had the opportunity to be a psychotherapist for almost 30 years. And again, helping everyone else, right? A lot of people who go into helping professions do it because of some of the experiences that they had as children. And it really shapes your world to, allow you to align with your purpose. But sometimes we're doing it for all of the wrong reasons. We think if we do this, then I don't have to deal with my own stuff. And so, 2020 really was a defining moment to say, okay, who are you now? And what is your purpose moving forward?
And I like that you shared, that we tend to be people who want to help and show up and be servant leaders for so many others. And sometimes we tend to neglect us, or sometimes we
Hmm.
feel as if, okay, if I'm doing all of this to help everyone else, that's somehow helping our healing. And we don't need to do any other work, any other hard work or heart work. And so I love that these are things that you have, self-discovered and been working on, not just for others, but for yourself as well. So, with that being said, and someone who understands, more personally and candidly too, about the traumas of life,
Hmm.
childhood, certainly it as an adult, but also knowing and recognizing that wellness is important. Having a therapist is important. I
Hmm.
have friends who will say, well, you need Jesus. And I said, yes, that's true. You need Jesus and a therapist. And
That's
that's
right.
okay. He has equipped certain individuals to be purposed to be able to do that and to carry out his work in that way. So having said that, I would love for you to take some time now to talk about what that near-death experience was like for you, and how it has shaped you and your thought process going forward.
Well, that's a great question. My life was changed because I was never really a person to ask for help, and then of course being an active duty member. So in 2020, I got deployed to the height and during the height of COVID to the Navajo Nation, and I came home with sepsis. I didn't know it at the time. And so, it took for me to experience a level of pain that is unlivable to actually ask for help. And when I asked for help and I was finally hospitalized, they sent in a psychiatrist to evaluate me. And that was very disheartening because I couldn't understand, I'm like, okay, I'm a therapist. Is this a somatic symptom? Am I imagining this pain? And so being on the end where I did ultimately ask for help and to really have to advocate for myself to say that something was really wrong because they couldn't find it. How it shaped me is it allowed me to look internally to say, what are the resources that God has given to me directly, right? Everyone is not always, it's almost like, really an analogy. Everyone is not going to see what you see or experience what you experience, but it is allowing yourself to align and hear from God directly to say, no, you're transitioning out of here. I don't care what they're saying. You're dying. And it was me being obedient to listen, to be able to hear the call to say, okay, this is what I need to do. And also taking my health in my own hands. Here are the resources that God gave you in order to survive. And so, yes, you may work with your treatment team, but also what resources has God given you directly?
That is extremely powerful. So I'm definitely hearing the self-advocacy piece. I'm hearing, if you are a person of faith, regardless to what faith it is, I encourage you to tap into that, because that we have that inner voice, that inner intuition, that I believe we've all been given. And so I'm hearing you speak on self-advocacy. I'm hearing you saying tap into that inner voice, that inner strength, however, whomever and however you believe, but it's within us. So tap into it. There are tools and resources that we have. And there's what man says, and then there's what we know, those of faith who believe in a higher power, there's what God says. And so I'm encouraging you to take what she's saying to heart and recognize that, you know, the doctors will tell us whatever, and they may be telling us what they feel and know to be true. But I say fight. I'm a person who believes fight, fight, fight. Ask all the questions. Ask all the questions. Um, and
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for your service too.
Thank you.
I shared with you before our interview that, for those who don't know, I actually joined the Air Force and I was there for a whole month. And they sent me home, and I wanted to lift that up because of what you shared about them having a therapist come in, to speak to you.
Yes.
So, and I hadn't talked about this in a long time, but I really like this. I like the podcast to be a conversation. And that's one of the things that I've prided myself on doing is the transparency piece of it all, and people understanding that this is a safe and a brave space. So for me, part of the reason that I decided to come home is because I continued to get sick. It was always a little something. I would pass out here. I'd had stress fractures. It was just different little things. And they placed me in a facility that I wasn't supposed to be
Mm,
in order for me to get well. And so you with you being military, then you know when you go to the med hold facility, they'll have different flights. And so the flight that I should have been in was the flight where I'll say it was a flight where those were people who are healing from different injuries, maybe minor injuries, but they're able to go back into training. And then there was a second flight, which was the B flight. And the B flight was for everyone else who had all types of problems. They may be suicidal, they may have long, extensive injuries.
hmm
They've been diagnosed with some sort of psychosis, something just that says, okay, this is not the place for you. Well, I was supposed to be in the flight that would allow me to heal and go back. They put me in
Okay.
the other flight. So every day I'm sitting in there with people who are pregnant or suicidal or have long-standing injuries. I mean, real bad fractures, and it really impacted how I felt because I couldn't get
Mm,
anyone to listen to me to know that they had placed me in the wrong location. Um,
mm.
I literally had to just be sick, I chew for somebody to say, you know what, we're going to go ahead just because you keep saying this. So we're going to send you over. And that's what the doctor told me at that point. It's like, yeah, you could stay. I could put you in the flight that you're supposed to be in and go back. But my spirits were completely broken by then,
Wow.
broken, and mentally I was distraught because I was seeing it, and now and now I've started internalizing my own feelings of anxiety and depression, because I felt like I'd failed. And
Wow.
so with you sharing that, yeah, I went through that thinking, what is wrong with me? And I didn't have the background that you have. Um, but I had that same feeling of, why are you bringing someone else in here to talk to me? But I was really becoming anxious and depressed as a result of that. So I thank you for your service. I thank you for your openness and, recognizing that this is something that I needed for me, but it's something that you continue to work and include in your field and practice as well of wellness. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So with that being said, I think I would love for you to at this point to just tell us about, like, you do a lot and it's all fantastic. So tell our listening audience more about like what you do, the services that you offer, and
hmm
then we'll delve a little deeper into the hows and ways to support.
Yes. So, what I love is that, having my clinical acumen of almost 30 years of service, um, clinically, I am now incorporating the spiritual transformation coaching where I'm able to work with high achieving women to basically guide them to get in alignment with their divine assignment. And once that happens, they no longer work a day in their life. It does not feel like struggle. It does not feel like you're having the wind and life sucked out of you. It does not feel like you're just floating through life anymore. And a lot of the women that I work with, they also, they were very successful on the outside, very, the world thinks they're thriving and they feel like they're just surviving. They're not thriving at all. And so I have what is called the Aligned Success Academy, where we basically go in and basically do a professional and personal rebrand of your entire life. We help you to become the highest version of yourself, which is a significant journey if you're really talking about transformation. We're not talking about, just changing your outfit. You're changing your life from the inside out. And so what we do is we work together. I do have a formula along with a personalized construct because we are able to look, in depthly at some of the things that each woman needs to work on specifically. And so once we do that, and then, they're now thriving, doing what they're called here to do, which is so amazing. I just love seeing it. People have, closed down their brick and mortars. Some people have transitioned out of one form of entrepreneurship into another, but it's really in alignment with what their true dreams are, not what somebody thinks, oh, I can't make money doing that. When you're doing what you're supposed to do, the money is going to come. And so I love doing that. Of course, I also do speaking engagements. I do retreats. I'm going to be launching a co-authorship book, an anthology book, where women who have overcome significant challenges in their lives, who are now thriving, we are highlighting that in their stories to get that out there, because when people see themselves in your story, that allows other people the freedom to be and the permission to be able to heal. And of course, again, the speaking engagements all over the world. And I also have a nonprofit, the Malaysia Harrell Foundation, that we provide mental health and holistic wellness services to veteran women and other underrepresented populations. And people can find me, online, malaysiaharrell.com. For my business, blissfullifeconsulting.com. We provide these wellness and mental health services to corporate spaces as well, and groups and individual organizations. And so I just love the work that me and my team are able to really do. And the biggest thing is looking at the impact that we're having across the world, on a national and international scale.
And you absolutely are. And for those who um, I hope that you will take the opportunity to really fully not just connect with her surfacely, but really do a deep dive into her website, for example. It is absolutely beautiful, just well put together. So I wanted to lift that up.
Thank
Easy to
you.
follow. Yeah, it's gorgeous. One of the things that I love about it is the home page. It says gain clarity around your purpose and live the life of your dreams. And that speaks to me so much professionally and personally, because when I started this podcast, and I have a workbook that's around it as well, and it's, of course, create yourself, imagery, intimacy, innovation. But I say to go out and create the life that you desire and deserve. In fact, that's how I end each podcast, because I am so intentional about us, especially us as women, to
Mm,
know and understand that we can have the life that we desire and deserve at any age. And so your Aligned Success Academy, it is spot on. It is perfect for women who have been high achieving and yet may feel this need, want, and desire to pivot, to change, to even show up at a higher level of themselves. So I've been looking at it and reading it, and it's like, yes, this is absolutely perfect for women who are just ready for that change. They're ready to thrive. And what the other piece that I like that you share is that it's not surface level. It's very
mm.
personal and professional. So you're doing the deeper dive, the hard, and as my friend says, the hard and the hard work. I see that in all that you're sharing. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. And thank you just for amplifying voices of people who are having an impact in the world along with yourself. It's very, very important, and it allows us to feel so connected. So thank you for your service as well.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. And as we do plan or prepare, as I should say, prepare ourselves to close out our interview time together, I do want to ask one last question to you, and that
Mhm.
is for our listening audience, because let me start by saying you shared so many great nuggets and you have an excellent program. And of course, she's already shared that she's available for speaking engagements. So, look her up for that as well. I'm a speaker. I always believe lift us. We work better when we work together. So please reach out to her for speaking engagements, learn more about the Academy, learn more about her foundation. I too had a nonprofit for 14 years. I dissolved it last year, but it was centered around domestic violence and its intersections. And definitely wellness was a component of that. So when I told you earlier that we have a lot in common, we really, really
Yes.
do. So I want to end our podcast by asking you, what are some tools, resources, words of advice or encouragement that you may have for our listening audience who may be on the fence, may be contemplating their next move, their next strategy, or just, need some encouragement based on where they are right now? So the floor is yours for the next few minutes. Share however you
Oh my
feel.
goodness. So one thing, of course, is for everyone to make sure that you follow me on Instagram. I have a free guide that's going to get you started. It's called the Becoming Manifestation Guide, and that has so many gems on just really helping you to begin to transform your life, to ignite your clarity, activate your faith, and help you manifest the life that your soul has been just craving. A lot of us are craving that, especially after, the pandemic and just people just really being open, right, to the possibilities, saying, we no longer have to do life the way we did it before, and the struggle and, all of the things that just really took a lot out of us and allow us to declutter and just be free. And so one of the biggest things is to get silent. A lot of us are adding things to our lives. We have 1,000 degrees. We have 1,000, resources, coaching classes, all of these things. What's unique about me is I actually look at removing things before we replace them, because a lot of the things that we're doing are not serving us in any capacity no longer, right? We're on the boards, we're on the PTA, we're on the HOA, we're on, all of these things, and we're not allowing ourselves the space and the opportunity to walk in authenticity. And sometimes we don't even know what that authenticity is because we're so cluttered. So once we start to remove and declutter and just allow ourselves the opportunity to be, then we can see the vision for the becoming. And then we can see the path on how to get there. But because we are so overwhelmed with things, the social media space, right? Looking at things that are not necessarily real. Once we open ourselves up to get clarity, then we can allow ourselves the opportunity to become everything that God has set for us to become.
Wow. I have nothing else to say because that is a mic drop moment. So all I have at this point is to say thank you for being our special guest today. It was truly a treat.
Yes, Ms. Joyce, thank you so much for the opportunity, and God bless you on your journey as well.
Thank you, and God bless you as well. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And to our listeners, I could not do this without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you for always showing up, tuning in, showing up, showing out. Because again, I couldn't do what I do without you. So as I always say, I close out the podcast by saying to go out and live the best life that you can because you deserve it. So let us go forward and continue to live the life that we desire and deserve, knowing that you can do so at any age. Let's continue to transition, transform, and thrive together.